Hello, Cam viewers, and Janine, the Cam operator. We're here. This is Hob Osterlund. I'm the founder of the Kauai Albatross Network, and I have with me two students from Auburn University who are studying conservation biology of the Hawaiian Islands. And if you would introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Robin Lloyd. I'm a senior at Auburn, studying conservation biology. And just question I want to ask, what is the current population of albatrosses in Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
Well, in populated Hawaiian Islands, I don't know exactly on Oahu how many there are. There may be as many as 100 pairs and chicks that they're raising. Here on Kauai, we have about that many too. I would expect we'll fledge between 125 and 150 chicks this season. But in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, like Midway and Laysan and French frigate shoals, there are millions of those birds. So there's just a tiny population here in the inhabited Hawaiian Islands so far.
Okay. Hey, I'm Maddie. I'm a senior at Auburn University studying wildlife ecology and management. I guess my question for you kind of leads off Robin's question. You said the population in the inhabited Hawaiian Islands is pretty small. I know we were talking earlier, and you said these birds lay like one egg in a clutch, so
right.
they don't breed until they're like 10. So is there an estimate of how many breeding pairs you have to have on the island to have a sustainable population that doesn't require immigrants from Midway? Is there any kind of estimate on how long it'll be?
Oh, I see. No, I don't know that anybody has ever tried to work that out. The population that we have here now, with the breeding adults and the chicks, is a stable number now. It's gradually growing. We want to see it grow even more because of the risks at Midway. We could say this population is stable. It's certainly not enough to cover the birds we'd like to cover that from Midway. You know, if we have 700,000 pairs breeding at Midway, plus another couple of million teenagers who are not yet, or subadults that are not yet breeding, that's a lot of birds that need a new place to go as Midway goes underwater. So we want to provide for them places that have some elevation, that have protection from predators, and that have some people who care. And that'll make a difference.
So now this is a really, really large bird. How much food does a chick like that eat every week, would you say, on average?
You know, I couldn't say. You mean meals or weight? You're talking about
in weight.
In weight. I don't have that answer. The parents come when they have enough food to share. And so this particular chick has been fed several times in the last few days by the same parent. Mahealani has been back, I think, 4 times, maybe 5, and come back and given one of the feedings. There were gigantic pieces of fish meat or squid meat that she was feeding. So the chick is growing quickly. I think that the most important way that we can tell how much they're being fed is how the chick looks and how much it weighs. So places where there are genuine biologists and researchers, they might weigh them and just figure out how big they are and how well they're doing. But this chick is hatched on January 26th, and so is roughly 6 weeks old or so, and looks real fat and sassy. So whatever it is, it's sufficient.
Good chubby bird.
Yeah. The parents have to go sometimes a very, very long way to get enough food. So they have to be able to find it in that vast North Pacific somewhere.
These birds are obviously ground nesters, but you were talking about nest construction earlier. It looks pretty minimal to me. Is it just as the bird's grown larger, there was a nest structure that it just kind of broke out of and picked at?
That's a good question. Some birds, like at Midway, and even up in Princeville, up here in north, a little bit farther from us, a little bit west, they actually will just scratch a little bit in a lawn and lay an egg and not put much. At Midway, sometimes they're on really hard surfaces and still making a nest, so they're not super picky about it. On Kauai, because we have so many of these ironwood trees that you see, they're not a pine, but they look like they have a pine needle. They love those. They make nests out of them all the time. They exchange them as a social exchange with each other when they're flirting, and when you saw that film I showed you today where the parent was leaving some for the other as it departed. What happened in this particular site is that the property manager, in order to make this area safer, added some mulch. And this is mulch from tons of mulch that's been added to this area from albizia trees, which are invasive trees we want to get rid of. So this is a really good use for it. Because these used to be piled with rocks and places where chicks could fall into holes and that were ankle breaking for a human to walk over. So he filled it all with mulch and left only those big boulders there. So now that's safe for the chicks. There's also, you might be able to tell, there's a real steep precipice behind the fence here. So he put up this fence and then is growing this naupaka, this native plant here, which will soon be hiding the fence and become its own fence. So the birds may in the future decide to nest under naupaka. They may decide to use ironwood again, or this year they used mulch with a little bit of ironwood that fell from the tree above. They're pretty versatile with nesting material, though.
Just because predators aren't an issue, or?
Well, predators are an issue because of what humans have brought to the Hawaiian Islands. So dogs, feral pigs, feral cats, all of them are problems. These fences don't keep out cats, so we have to be careful and trap for any if we see any. But dogs running loose and pigs running loose can kill them. There also there's the occasional barn owl. I have not seen much in the way of problems with albatross. It's more with the shearwaters. And the barn owls are also invasive here, so we don't want them eating our native birds either.
What about the native owl species?
The native owl species doesn't predate on them. The native owl species, smaller, the pueo, the short-eared owl, they're more likely to predate on little rodents.
Okay.
Little mice, yeah.
So what would you say is the major threat to their survival in Hawaii or Kauai?
On Kauai, the major threat to their survival is, I guess we're going to say two things. One is what's on the ground, which means what can come kill them. And that's if they nest in places where there are no fences or people aren't there keeping an eye on animals running loose. That's a problem for them here. But in terms of their species and the highest risk for them, it has to do with global sea level rise and the Midway going underwater. All the low-lying atolls are at risk for that. Plus, you know, the acidification of the ocean and the diminishing food sources and the plastic in the ocean and the chemicals in the ocean. All of that means that they're going to have to look harder for food. So I consider every chick that fledges from here a big success story. I want them to lead others back this way, places where they really can be protected. Here, and there are couple of fenced areas, predator-protected areas on Oahu too. But not the other islands. Maui, Big Island can't do it right now because they don't have fences and they have all those mongoose everywhere.
Are these birds considered native, or because they're seabirds?
Yes, they're considered native to Hawaii,
When we were birding yesterday a little at Botanical Gardens, we saw like 15 bird species, and we saw one native one.
That's right, yeah. What was the native one?
The Hawaiian moorhen.
Oh, you saw the moorhen, and you just saw another one here. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the birds in the trees, most of the songbirds in the trees are going to be introduced birds.
Yeah.
That's right.
Overwhelmingly so.
Yeah. But the seabirds here, like the Laysan albatross, the red-footed booby, the wedge-tailed shearwater, newell shearwater, all of those birds are considered native here. The nene is, of course, a water bird, the Hawaiian goose.
Them over there, actually?
Yes, we have, behind us, we have a whole flock of nene. They actually are molting right now, so they can't fly at the moment. So they tend to hang around in big clusters with each other. And that group has several large but still fully feathered babies with them. So they're all hanging out closely together, and they run away as a flock, as a group, because they can't fly away right now.
Are shorebirds like the albatross and the other native birds that are doing well, are they just more resilient to invasive species because they can kind of get away and don't rely on a food source here necessarily?
Well, albatross are seabirds. As shorebirds, here we have ruddy turnstones. You may see while we're here on this property, there's a whole flock of ruddy turnstones, and we have wandering tattlers and a few other, and our colea, the Pacific golden plover, is our most populous shorebird. But those birds tend to hang out on lawns and not so much on the shore. I think I would say that the colea, the shorebird, the Pacific golden plover, does better because it nests in Alaska. It nests, when it flies, it goes to Alaska to raise a baby, and so it knows what a predator is. Those birds know what a predator is, and so they can escape if they see a dog running toward them or a cat. They can get away. Here, these birds don't have that choice. They nest here, and they don't really know what a predator is. They might clack at something that, if you and I charged this bird right now, it would clack at us because we'd be scary. But if we walked up slowly, it wouldn't. It wouldn't see us as a danger. So, because they've evolved for all these millions of years without ever having predators. So,
theoretically, if we did charge this bird or a dog came up, its hips are too weak to run, right?
Correct.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
It would have only two defenses. It would throw up on you, or it would clack its beak at you. But it would be useless in front of a hunting dog or a feral cat. We lost 22 albatross chicks to feral cats a couple of years ago, and so they learned it was a food source, and then they all taught each other, and next thing you know, there were 7 or 8 cats that are responsible for all of those.
Even just outside of our hotel last night, we heard feral cats fighting. We saw a couple in the parking lot.
Right.
Very surreal, I guess.
Yeah, it's disconcerting. Yeah, and where you folks are staying in Princeville, there are people who feed them. They just come out and feed them. Some of them are neutered, some of them aren't. But even if they're neutered, they still hunt, right? Even if they're belong to someone and they've been fed, they still hunt. So outdoor cats around endangered birds is a bad idea.
Yeah.
What does the majority of the population on the islands think about feral cats? And
Well, your professor, Dr. Lepsick, also did a paper about that very issue, and he can tell you the exact details. But the majority of people don't want feral cats around, and they're okay with the ones who are unadoptable to be euthanized. And that's much better than being hit by a car or getting abused by some sick person or getting bad diseases like they get out in the wild. They're basically abandoned animals. So this way, we find homes for the ones we can and prevent reproduction as we can, but not kid ourselves into thinking that feeding cats near these kind of birds is a good idea and just letting them run loose. Because they're hunters. They can't help it. That's what they do, right? And they're hungry. And last year on this camera, we saw a cat walked right onto the camera. Well, it just walked right by, didn't pay attention to the chick, but just walked right by. And so we ended up trapping it. And then we take those cats to the Humane Society, and they try to adopt them if the animal is social. Now our baby chick is taking a nap. You can see how unstressed it is by us standing here. We're about, I would guess, about 20 feet away.
There's an adult over that way that's been napping the whole time.
Yeah, there's an adult napping, yeah. And one landed right in front of us just a few minutes ago, too.
that was amazing.
Yeah. So, Janine, I know you're operating the camera right now. If you have any other questions or if anybody has tweeted a question, you can text it to me if you like. Otherwise, we'll just stand here for a minute, and if these folks have any other questions, we'll talk about it.
This is just kind of a question that doesn't really matter, but it can drive me crazy. Is that little, I don't know, garland?
Good question.
Is that?
Yeah, I bet you a bunch of viewers have that question. That's called a lei piko. Piko means belly button here in Hawaii. What happened was we held a blessing for these chicks and this camera, and one of the Hawaiian arts practitioners made this lei piko. So it's meant to draw good energy to the nest and to the baby, and basically give it blessings. So after we had the blessing in January, they came and hung it above the tree here. Of course, it's brown now. It was green to begin with.
I thought that was something the parents hung.
Oh no!
Part of like the nesting.
Yeah, it's very, very human, very human constructed. Yeah.
I kind of wish Alabama did stuff like that for our wildlife.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not really the same treatment.
Yeah, and here comes Shane. That's one of our great guys here. he helped put up this whole fence thing and put in all that mulch. And now he's opening the garage. Also, I wanted to point out to you that we can't see it quite from here, but there's another nest about 50 feet to the left of this chick. So you can see there's a little path that goes down at the end of this, where you can hear the waterfall. At the end of this fence, there's a chick down there too. That the parents, thank you, Janine, I got your message. Put their nest right on the ledge down there. So we can go walk down there or look down there, and I'll show you what these guys did was constructed a backdrop for that nest, because there's such a sheer drop off behind it. The parents are safe with it and with the egg, but when the chick starts wandering around, it could fall over. So they just put a couple of stakes and some of that erosion cloth, black erosion cloth, to keep the chick from even being able to see down there, much less try to venture there. And now the chick has actually come up the hill a few feet, so that's good. And then once we get probably May, I would guess, we'll see that chick come out here, and it'll come up here in the top. And then we'll get to see how these two think about each other. But generally, they won't interact too much. And they don't tend to, because they don't want any parents to get confused about who to feed.
So there are 3 chicks on this property?
There are 8 chicks on this property.
Oh.
Holy moly.
Holy moly.
Holy moly.
Yeah, she just said the name of my book. Holy moly. Yeah, so... Okay, thank you so much, Janine. Really appreciate it. And I think everybody is okay with doing a picture, but what I'll do is I'll text you when we're all lined up. Oh, we got an adult stretching over here on the right of the camera, but I think it's out of your view.
Life looks real
Almost out of
hard.
your view.
Get those hammies.
Yeah, that's right. So thank you very much for people who are watching and enjoying our beautiful kalama. We really appreciate your interest, and thanks so much for our Auburn University class and folks for being willing to stand here and chat.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for
All
having us.
All right, you're welcome.
War Eagle.
That's right. All right, so I'll text you when we line up, Janine. Thank you so much.